He's the participant, and he is a counterfeiter. There should be a picture on Time magazine with him flying a helicopter, pushing out money.
Congressman,
he's known for saying that he's helicopter banned.
Aloha mai kako. You are watching Hawaii Political Reporter.
Aloha, and thank you for watching Hawaii Political Reporter. Tonight, Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution, the Constitution of the United States. But first, Gerald Celente on Occupy Wall Street, economic conditions, and trends forecasts.
In the autumn of 2011, a phenomenon, a grassroots movement that we all know as Occupy Wall Street, became the growing face and voice of America. But at the start of 2011, there was one man that predicted a movement such as Occupy Wall Street would be sweeping through the United States. And that man is my current guest here to speak with RT, Gerald Celente, founder of the Trends Research Institute and publisher of the Trends Journal. Thank you for sitting down to speak with me again.
Thank you.
What do you think will happen with Occupy Wall Street in 2012?
Occupy Wall Street's gone global. You know how people keep looking to America for something to happen here, and then the rest of the world kind of latches onto it? Even though you think that American spirit is dead, the whole world kind of focuses on the United States for the center of some kind of social, economic, geopolitical, or cultural change. And Occupy Wall Street was just that. It inspired an Occupy movement worldwide. We call it the invasion of the octopi, like tentacles reaching out all over the globe. When you cut one off, another one grows. It's an estimated 80 countries in 112 cities. There's no stopping it. And by the way, the very police brutality that tried to stop the Occupy movement in Wall Street is what brought it to the forefront. You had that cop with pepper spray spraying young girls. And then you saw that pig over in Oakland, that big tough guy, shaking up the can and spraying little kids as they're sitting down. This is enraging people. The movement is not going to stop. Winter's set in. Things are quiet now. The governments around the world do not know how to control the octopi.
All the events of police brutality against Occupy Wall Street activists took place before the National Defense Authorization Act was signed by President Obama. What can happen now to all the Americans that speak out against the way that their elected officials are governing the country?
One of our top 12 trends for 2012 is Battlefield America. It's going to be the will of the people against the will of the government. The Senate of the United States and the House of Representatives, the gang of 535, and deciding, like this guy Lindsey Graham, the cracker from South Carolina, calling America a battlefield and saying that if you're accused of being tied into a terrorist organization, or you're a belligerent, as the way the act is now written, you have no judge, you have no jury, you have no trial, you don't have charges filed against you. The military could come in and take someone like me that they may call a belligerent because they don't like what I have to say, and they could take me away, lock me up in detention, blow my brains out, no lawyer, no habeas corpus. It's the Bill of No Rights signed by President Obama. And what it does, it also allows the military to take somebody like me or someone they don't like, who they choose, who the Gestapo chooses to be called an anti-American or working with a terrorist group. I may give money to a group that they don't like, and they could tie that back to me.
You have forecasted a trend involving what you believe will be economic martial law being implemented in the U.S. What exactly do you mean by that?
The entire financial system is collapsing. It's a worldwide financial meltdown. We can see the collapse of the European Union. It's happening in front of us. There's no way of bailing them out. Just the G7 has $7.5 trillion worth of debt coming due in 2012. How are they going to pay that off? As it collapses, look what's going on around the world. Look what's going on in Greece. It's a depression. It's a depression in Spain. It's a depression in Portugal. It's going to be a depression in Italy, a recession in France. It's collapsing around the world. You look at the housing market now starting to unravel, the bubble being burst in China. It's happening everywhere. So what we're saying is they're not going to be able to keep this afloat. We're going to see something smack down really hard, probably coming from the Europeans. When that happens, the United States will blame them and say, see those Europeans, it's them socialists. And now, unfortunately, we have to call a bank holiday because of the problems that they caused. Or a false flag, a terror strike, or war, which is another option going on very close to us as the Iranian conflict's building. They will give an excuse to call a bank holiday in America. You don't get your money out. They close down the banks. Go back to 9/11. They closed down Wall Street. If you had certificates of deposit like I did and tried to get them out, I couldn't get them out. That's right, my money was frozen. I had a lot of money. See what happened to people when Argentina called a bank holiday back in 2001, 2002. People that had money in the bank account to buy a house, by the time the bank holiday was over, that money couldn't buy a car. That's right, they devalue the currency.
You brought up Iran. What are the major concerns right now when it comes to Iran and the possibility of a war?
The United States, again with the National Defense Authorization Act, part of that was that President Obama effectively has declared war against Iran. The latest legislation puts sanctions on foreign companies dealing with Iranian banks. They're effectively putting an embargo on Iran. It's an act of war. Go back to World War II. It's like when the United States stopped Japan from being able to buy oil. Now the Iranians can't sell it. If they lose just 20% of their ability to sell oil, you're looking at 60% of their GDP comes from oil sales. You're putting them out of business. And for what? For what? I hear these Republican candidates, with the exception of Ron Paul, all talking tough about how we have to bomb Iran if they have a nuclear weapon. If the United States, Israel, or NATO attacks Iran's nuclear facilities, it will be, as I've said before, the beginning of World War III. Syria may be the other avenue into it, because who's Syria's top ally? Iran. And as we have seen from reports that came out in WikiLeaks, the United States and the West has been very instrumental in undermining the Syrian government, even before the latest uprisings have begun.
You also say that there will be a global game changer this year because of the election.
Look at the people running for office. Look how disgusted the people are with them. It's going to be, in the United States, it's going to be another lesser of two evils.
You've predicted that Barack Obama would win, right?
Oh, we said Barack Obama would win back in October. We put our forecast out. If the current front runner is Romney, for example, or Gingrich, or Santorum, you know, the only wild card in this, as we see it, is Ron Paul.
If U.S. President Barack Obama wins a second term, do you think that he'll change course in any way? Because he'll have a bit more freedom in his second term than in his first term.
Didn't Obama, when he got elected in 2009, have the entire nation virtually behind him? Do you remember the cheerleading in Grant Park? Do you remember that he had a Democratic Congress behind him? Do you remember that the people gave him everything that he wanted? And do you also remember all the backtracks that Obama went through? Remember Obama, first day he hits the stage, I'm going to close Guantanamo in a year, Jack. Hey, and remember those Bush tax cuts, no more for me, adios. Hey, remember that rendition, ain't going to happen under my watch. Oh, and those ugly wars that Bush had, how about some more Predator drones into Pakistan? How about upping the troop level in Afghanistan? I'll tell you what. after another 4 years of Obama, people are going to be wanting Bush back.
And what will be the game-changing trend or trends for 2012?
As I see it, there are 4 things that could change the future. One is repatriate, repatriate. Bring your jobs back home. Bring production back home. Is it going to cost a little more? Yes. But guess what? You're going to get paid more. And that quality is going to be better. For the trend to change, it has to begin at the grassroots. It's not only Americans. It's every country having national pride in what they do best. Number 2, direct democracy. Let the people vote. Do what they do in Switzerland. Not a bad country. Highest standard of living in the world. They haven't been in an external war since 1815. And they're in the middle of everything. Let the people vote on major issues. I don't need, as I said, a gang of 535 telling me we have to go to war against Libya. We have to go to war against Iraq. We have to go to war against now Iran. Let the people vote. You want the war on drugs to keep going? Let the people vote. You want to bail out banks? Let the people vote. Right now, as I said, we have politicians telling us how to think, how to eat, what to believe, what not to believe, what to watch, and what not to watch. Number 3, secession. It's too big. The Soviet Union knows this story, and the United States should get the same story in their heads. It can't be run by a central government anymore. You think the Taliban want to invade Vermont? You think they got their eye on Utah? You know, here we are, it's 10 years after 9/11. And they're still putting out that same phony line, that the reason that they want to invade us is because they hate our freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty? Hey, anybody read the National Defense Authorization Act? Hey, you been felt up at the airport lately? Flying the friendly skies? GPS signal under your car? Cops watching you, listening? What freedom? What liberty? Now, it has to do with foreign policy. My favorite trend of all of them, going out in style. Put style back into the system.
Amid the still ongoing economic hardship and joblessness and unemployment, are there any smart investments? Are there any successful moves to make?
Break the chains. Break the chains in every single way you can. You stop going to the chain stores and you start buying local. You start filling the market niche's needs. Where is it going to be the biggest growth was obvious. The whole IT movement is just going to continue to grow.
Cybersecurity, right?
Cybersecurity is going to be huge because they're going to keep hacking into it, and it's going to be a fight between the government and freedom. So anything having to do with cybersecurity is huge business. The other ones are anything having to do with healthcare. Anything. We're an aging society in the European nations and in America. Anything having to do with healthcare, alternative healthcare particularly. There's plenty of options and plenty of opportunities, but nothing is going to change until the individual changes. And that's the most important aspect to understand.
Gerald Celente, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
America today is no longer the land of the free and the home of the brave. It is the land of government spying, snooping, and scrutinizing American citizens without their knowledge. It is a land where you can be arrested without charges and detained indefinitely without a phone call or a trial. This is the land Republicans and Democrats built. The America of Barack Obama and the America of Mitt Romney. The people now running America have a different idea of freedom than the people who founded it. Gary Johnson wants a different America. He wants an America without the wars, the taxes, the spending, the lousy economy, the joblessness, and failed programs like the war on drugs. Gary Johnson wants what we all want. He wants our America back. If you think Gary Johnson is dreaming for thinking we can live in peace, prosperity, and freedom again, Gary Johnson says, dream a little.
My name is Gary Johnson. Be libertarian with me for one election. Live free.
the Constitution of the United States. Preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Article 1, the Legislative Branch. Section 1, the Legislature. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Section 2, the House. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. Representative and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this Union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Section 3. The Senate. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and of the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every 2nd year. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be the President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers, and also a President pro tempore in the absence of the Vice President, and when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath of affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside. And no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. Section 4. Elections, meetings. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the place of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 5. Membership, Rules, Journals, Adjournment. Each House shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each House may provide. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. Each House shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecies, and the yeas and nays of the members of either House on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither House during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the 2 Houses shall be sitting. Section 6. Compensation. The Senators and Representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. And no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. Section 7. Revenue bills, legislative process, presidential veto. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it becomes a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it, but if not, he shall return it, with his objections to the House in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other House, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that House, it shall become a law. But in all cases, such cases, the votes of both Houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each House respectively. If any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays excepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be law in a like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the Senate shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. Section 8. Powers of Congress. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States, but all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. To establish an uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. To coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States. To establish post offices and post roads. To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the laws of nations. To define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations. To declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. To raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years. To provide and maintain a navy. To make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrection and repel invasions, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to their discipline prescribed by Congress. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. Section 9. Limits on Congress. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury but in the consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Section 10. Powers prohibited of states. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay.
In 1913, the money power of the country was taken away from the people, but it was given up in the Federal Reserve Act. The Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express.
You try a hide and destroy a freedom man. You seek agenda, we know you anti-American. You come forward American Constitution. 1913, up in the system. Devalue dollar, hyperinflation. The Federal Reserve, controlled by Lucifer. He can see you lying.